What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Alienware m18 with a 7900m gameplay video for you guys today. And today, we're gonna check out Chernobylite Complete Edition. At 1440p this time, though. So, hopefully, it'll still run halfway decently. I know ray tracing and all that's not gonna run good, but hey, beyond that, hopefully high and all that stuff will still do decently good. But I know for a fact, we can always fall back on medium if we want to stay at a constant 60, just like we did on the G15 Advantage. So, do the game. Well, now let's do 1440p here. So here, we're basically just go carbon copy what we did at 1080p. Or technically in this case 1200p. So we'll start off with high ray tracing just like we did. No upscaling helping us out yet. We'll try that out next. But anyway, let's get into the game. So here's the beginning of the video, just like we did on everything else, just for those interested. And then we'll get some actual gameplay.
Демонстрации в разных городах. 10 миллиардов гривен в оплату бессрочного договора аренды.
Шайка преступников. Они ставят себя выше закона.
Что скрывается за засекреченными патентами?
Ясно одно. Саркофаг трогать нельзя.
Просыпайся, Соня. Смотри, смотри, вон там. А помнишь эту поляну за деревьями? Там ты сделал мне предложение. Ты так нервничал, ты был таким милым. Ну ты сейчас такой мой дорогой профессор Хименюк.
So far, we've never had good luck testing native ray tracing out on this train. There's something about this train that basically every computer I've played this on hates. Luckily, you don't seem to spend too much time on it, but it's still a little annoying.
Игорь, ну что за дела? Ну ты так и не проснулся. Подъем.
Таня? Таня, прекращайте шутки.
Ну ты и Соня. Игорь.
Подожди!
Сделал мне предложение. Так нервничал. Такой милый. Мой дорогой.
Татьяна Амалеева, немедленно прекрати это ребячество! Где ты?
После стольких...
So, for a lot of people, still playable-ish FPS, but it still has some frame drops. So far, every AMD system I've tried has had some pretty big frame drops as soon as we turn ray tracing on. But, as I've explained a billion times, ray tracing is not the forte of the AMD. Hell, even even upscaling isn't really their forte. It should improve with FSR 4, but obviously it's not going to compete with DLSS anytime soon. But at least it can leapfrog and be better than PSSR again. FSR 3 definitely is not. That's why I try, when I have AMD systems, I try to match the screen to the GPU. But then, I know after a long time, they will eventually get too slow to play games, and that's when I like to use FSR. I understand it won't look as good, but hey, you gotta make some sacrifices if you want games to be playable on older systems, and that's what I always thought FSR should be used for. Not as a crutch just to make the game work at all. And frame gen should just be icing on the cake, again, and not a band-aid like in Monster Hunter to try to make the game actually run properly. Alrighty, let's try turning some FSR on now. I don't think it's going to help us, like, you know, just get 60 FPS all of a sudden, but it should at least help us a few FPS. So far, it has not been a miracle worker by any means, especially on the train. But we spend such little time on the train, who really cares? Unless there's spots that are like that. Alright, here we go. Still can't quite maintain no 30 on the train here, even while recording. Because this one gets like 2-3 FPS when recording. Or loses. So it's not quite as crazy as some of the others.
Подожди!
Сделал мне предложение. Так нервничал. Такой милый. Мой дорогой профессор.
Татьяна Амалеева, немедленно прекрати это ребячество! Где ты?
После стольких...
Ну хватит уже! Это еще что?
Игорь.
Проклятие! Когда уже это закончится?
Oh shit, out of ammo. Oh well, we're dead. So of course we will leave this page the same. And now we're going to do Ultra all over again, but with the absence of ray tracing, since AMD's not that great at it anyway. But it's not a miracle worker. It still doesn't do the best everywhere, especially on the train, but I think it still does a little better than it does with the ray tracing on, but we shall see. Alright, well, we're getting like 40 FPS on the train here to 50, almost.
Таня,
Oh,
прекращайте.
there we go, 50 once we get closer to the door.
Ну ты и Соня. Игорь.
Alright, and it actually does pretty dang good out here on Ultra. I don't think it would stay at 60 plus everywhere in the game, probably, but it does alright. Much better than the G15 Advantage did, that's for sure. But this thing is more expensive and more powerful.
Мне предложение.
In fact, you could probably buy at least for the full price new. G15 Advantage is like $1,600. The other thing with all the upgrades was $3,200.
Немедленно прекрати это ребячество! Где ты?
So yeah, you could definitely get at least 2 of them.
Ну хватит уже! Это еще что?
Игорь. Игорь.
Это закончится.
Huh. You could almost hang them up on that thing. Now I'll do Ultra with FSR, but no ray tracing. Anyway, let's go ahead and hop into the game and let's see what happens now. Well, that's still a no-go on the 60 plus, at least in the train, but it's hard to hit 60 plus in this train. Now, there could be spots just as hard to run later on, but I doubt it. I think there's just something bugged out about that train. That's just my opinion. No idea how to prove it. It's just what I think. Because after it, I just haven't seen anything else even close to that bad performance. I mean, this is getting great performance now. I could play this game at 80 FPS.
Подожди.
Now, obviously, FSR does some goofy shit here and there, so I'd prefer to not have to use FSR at all, so I would just drop the graphics settings a little bit.
Сделал мне предложение. Так нервничал. Такой милый. Мой дорогой.
And finally, this is a system, or a game that doesn't push this system all the way to its limit and get like 100 degrees. In fact, the CPU is almost getting like what desktops can sometimes get up to with these 7000 series processors.
Хватит уже.
Usually that thing is pegged almost at 100 during some of these more CPU intensive games. This one's obviously more GPU intensive. And I would use that other better FPS monitoring software, but A, you can't see it during the OBS, and people couldn't see it. This one's way easier for people to see, so figure screw it. It's just, no, it could add some stutter in there. And I could get rid of the power, but people want to see the power and how much stuff it's using, so figured might as well leave it. Otherwise people are going to ask, hey, where's the power at? And then I'd have to explain like 100,000 times to people that didn't see that thing about our afterburner possibly causing stutters on certain AMD systems. You know, then I'd have to explain it to them over and over again. And who wants to do that? It's not like it annoys me greatly, but I don't want to have to do something that annoying if I don't have to. But I'll never be one of those people that's like, oh my god, someone asked a question, I'm going to get so angry. Like, no. If you're going to act like that, why even have a YouTube channel? Nope, I like every comment I get. But I'll never ask for them. I like getting my likes and comments and subs just from people wanting to do it. I don't see the point in asking for it. I know other people want more once they get really big and needs more money and more subs to be more money. I just don't care about that kind of shit right now. I'm just having fun making videos. And if I ever do get big enough to make a little bit of money, like I always said, I don't need any more money, so I'm just going to put all of that money right back into the YouTube channel. Not going to go out and be like, oh shit, I have 100 million subs, which would probably never happen, just using this as an example. Let's go buy a Lamborghini. Like, no, we're not doing that. Hell, even if I was a billionaire, one of those things would just keep breaking on me with my luck. I'd spend more time in the shop than I did driving. Alright, now we're dropping it down to high. And we'll just do what we did before. We'll do high, and then we'll drop FSR on, and then we'll finish up the whole thing with medium and all that good stuff. Alright, here we are on the train. Still a no-go on the 60 plus in the train, even on high. Not until you get closer to the door anyway, but once you step out of the train, it seems to be a pretty pleasant experience. Tiny little frame time skips, but I don't think I'd notice ones like that without this frame time graph up.
Игорь.
Подожди.
Yeah, I really like this laptop now that it's got all these updates. Now, if only it wouldn't like stutter if it gets the CPU up to 100. The G15 Advantage can sit there at 96 or whatever and just be fine. It too would probably stutter if it got to 100. Hell, it'd probably shut off if it got to 100. But this one instead just stutters like no tomorrow. Now you could fix that by putting it on quiet, but quiet mode unfortunately also hinders the GPU's performance quite a bit. I need to go find out what program people are using to like limit the processor's wattage. Because if I just limited it to like 50 watts or whatever you need to limit it to not hit 100C in the games, then it'd be fine. Because you don't even need, you know, a 16-core 32-thread for gaming. I could cut that thing in half and it'd still probably get the same performance. Ah, hell, it might even get more half the time with these high-value CPU core things. If you turn some of the cores off or hyper-threading off, you can usually get better performance. Same thing with the 1300KF and all the other like things with big little cores, as I like to call them. It's pretty much like the cell phones used to run. You got your P cores and your E cores. But anyway, certain games can get a huge benefit from turning off those E cores and be way smoother. In fact, I think on the 14th gen they made like just a straight up thing in Windows, like I always wanted for mine, where you can just turn them off. Test real quick, see if the game responds better to them, and if not, turn them right back on, instead of having to go in the BIOS and all this crap. That was a good shot. Oop, damn, didn't dodge the second one. If I had more bullets, I could have probably taken both of them out right then. Ah, ran out of ammo. Now for high mixed with some FSR quality. There we go. Just got to the bottom, and with that, it is back to the game time. All right, here we are. Actually able to almost get 60 FPS in here.
Аня, прекращай эти шутки.
Still not quite. But once we get out of there, we're fine. I mean, we were before, too, but...
Подожди.
Сделал мне предложение. Так нервничал. Такой милый. Мой дорогой.
Татьяна Амалиева, немедленно прекрати это ребячество. Где ты?
После стольких...
Ну хватит уже.
Alright, there we go. Got my alarm set. Shit, we're already almost to frickin' 4. Hopefully I can get these done. We still got some time, though. And it's not like I have a bedtime. I can always just stay up till 5. I just don't like doing that because then I wake up at like noon or 1, and that takes a lot. Once I wake up, I need like time to wake up. I don't want to just hop out of bed and be like, all right, guys, let's make a video, you know? I need time to wake up. At least that one's easy. I wish you could get them all instantly killed if you just shoot them in the head as they're coming out. That should just be a thing. At least if you get real close to them, it's pretty easy to hit them in the head. Now me, I'm using keyboard and mouse at this point. Still not easy to hit them in the head constantly though. But then you can also use cover and whatnot. It's not like they're exactly super intelligent. And that way you don't have to bother really dodging too much. Okay, run over to the car, and even when then he slides down, but now I got no ammo, so we will die. So now we'll do medium, just like we did at 1200p. And this should be totally fine. We don't need no FSR for this. This is for the people who don't want to use upscaling. But anyway, let's go see how it does. All right. We're finally getting 60 plus in the train even. It's actually very similar to the same FPS we got at 1200p. Not quite, but similar.
Подожди!
Сделал мне предложение. Так нервничал. Такой милый. Мой дорогой.
Татьяна Амалеева, немедленно прекрати это ребячество! Где ты?
После стольких...
Ну хватит уже!
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's teeny tiny little frame time skips. But like I said, for the most of all the rest of the systems, they do too. And I would never notice these without this frame time thing. And when I play games, I don't have this thing up. Not unless I feel the frame rate drop. And I'm like, okay, this feels like we're dropping into the 40s or like low 50s. Okay, yep, we sure are. Let's go fix that kind of thing. And then it goes right back off as soon as I do. Oh. Oh, damn, I forgot about the other one. Oh shit, am I already out of ammo? Yep, I am. Alright, let's get some camera recording gameplay now.
Почему это место кажется мне таким знакомым?
Пожалуйста, поспеши. Неужели ты не видишь, что эта реальность разваливается на части?
Wouldn't let me back out of that one there for a
Надо
second.
возвращаться к работе. Это единственный способ выбраться отсюда. Так приятно вернуться.
Вся зона оцеплена. Наверное, церемониться не будет.
Будем надеяться, что нашим источникам можно доверять. И мы не нарвемся на патруль по пути.
А если нарвемся?
Тогда будем разбираться по ходу дела. За это нам спящая красавица и платит. Забыл?
Ну да, твоя правда. А ты правда веришь, что они тут тестируют свою рекультивацию чего-то там?
По-моему, там нет никаких испытаний. Но что-то явно происходит. Точно тебе говорю. Слишком много наемников для такой небольшой территории. Ну, с наемниками мы разберемся. Там поди сброд, который Вагнер не взяли.
Да пошел ты! Я с этими парнями плечом к плечу воевал.
Знаю, Антон. Я так подкалывал. Давай сосредоточимся на том, как достать для нашего профессора немного этого... Чернобылита? Так он называется, Игорь. Игорь! Подъем, Игорь. Пора выдвигаться.
А? Что? Я, кажется, задремал. Ладно, погнали.
Что ты такое?
Что, профессор, передумал уже? Если собрался дать заднюю, лучше скажи сейчас.
Ну уж нет. Пора наконец разобраться с этим делом.
Так ваш план точно сработает, профессор Хименюк.
Зови меня Игорь, и да, он сработает. Вы делаете свою работу, а я свою. Договорились?
Старайтесь не высовываться. Только перестрелки нам не хватало.
Перестрелки? Ты во что нас втянул, Игорь?
У нас нет выбора. Это нужно сделать.
Не люблю я загадки, профессор. Но ты тут был.
Похоже на ту ночную операцию в Сирии. Помнишь, Оливер?
Помню, к сожалению.
Миша! Миша, ничего не выходит! Нужно отступать быстрее!
Давление падает! Спускаемся! Скорее! Бегом! Бегом!
Потом ворон будешь считать. Игорь, пора. Через заборы в канализацию.
Ох, канализация. Прямиком в подземное царство.
Это просто дырка в земле, Антон.
Ох, как же я чешусь. А вы? Кстати, как тут дела с радиацией? Вроде достаточно времени прошло уже, да?
Слушай, не заливай себя новым. Нам нужно сделать дело и уйти отсюда живыми. Сосредоточимся на этом. Игорь, если начнется мясорубка, не высовывайся. Мы совсем разберемся, ладно? Не геройствуй.
Без паники, Оля. Где ты видишь героя? Здесь только отчаявшиеся люди, идущие в самое сердце тьмы.
Хватит разговоров. Вперед!
После вас, Игорь. Дамы и умники, вперед!
А ты шутник, да?
Вот дерьмо. Игорь, ложись. Беги ко входу в канализацию, а мы за тобой.
невидимкой.
Игорь! Сюда!
Это точно нужный вход?
Я здесь работал. Ты что, забыл? Конечно, я уверен.
Игорь, проверь уровень радиации, ладно?
3, 6, да. Не отлично, но и не ужасно. Выше нос. Мы в безопасности. На ближайшие час-два.
Вы все не в безопасности.
Alright, and with that, we move on and wrap up the video. Alright guys, that's a wrap for Chernobylite Complete Edition at 1440 on the Alienware m18 with a 7900m, and it seemed to play pretty well. Still can't do no ray tracing properly, unless you're okay with frame drops every once in a while under 20, but mostly frames in the 30s to 40s. But if you want to just get 60 plus all the time, just drop it to medium, and you get lots. You get like esports levels of FPS, and it still looks really good. I mean, barely looks any better with the other stuff. It's not like the game looks great by any means, but definitely I would just say it looks fine at medium, and it'll give lots of FPS, that would be basically buttery smooth. But that's just my opinion. But in any case, that's all I got for this particular video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.